Hi, this is Mark Oelze with another communication tip with PLEDGEtalk. So take a moment, if you will, and just listen. Okay. In 15 seconds, I heard a dog barking, the wind, a bird chirping, and some distant traffic. Not sure if you heard it, but it took me 15 seconds to sit quietly and listen. Last video and this one and the next few, I'm going over some of the basics of good communication again because of learning from my son, who's like a semi-professional guitarist, that if we don't stick with the basics and keep working on them, we'll never become a great player of the guitar or a great communicator. So I'm going over the basics. Last week we talked about how we need to pause before we react. Pause when we find ourselves in the midst of a conflict. Pause when we're listening to someone and we want to jump in, but we tend to interrupt if we just jump in. The next step of pledge, which is a 6-step acronym: pause, listen. That's what I'm talking about this week. That's why I start off with the idea of listening. It takes time. It takes time to be a good listener. So 2 points I want to make. That's the first. If we're going to listen well, it takes time. It takes time. And we have to be able to be quiet and stay quiet if we're going to be able to listen to really hear another person. And that can be hard. When we're in the midst of a conflict, someone says or does something, it's hard for me to stay quiet. I've got to really work hard at keeping my mouth shut. It's like when I'm in listening mode, I have to go back to pause again and again and again. Keep biting my tongue because it is hard to stay in the listening mode. I want to react. I think that's probably the most natural thing for all of us. So, you have to work hard to stay listening. Then, second point is, listen for what? You see, most of us, I think we are listening, at least to a degree, but we're listening for the wrong thing, particularly when we're in conflict. I find that when we're in conflict, what we're doing is we're listening to find out all the ways in which the other person is seeing things incorrectly. We're listening for all of the errors in what they want to tell us. And as soon as we have a moment, then we jump in and we point out all their errors. We point out all the ways in which they're wrong in the way they're thinking or the way they're viewing or the way they're seeing things. Problem is, of course, while I'm talking now, they're doing the same thing with me. Again, listening to all the ways in which I'm in error. And then as soon as they have a chance, they're going to come right back at me and tell me everything that I just said wrong as well. So here's the point. We're listening for the wrong things. Particularly, again, when we're in conflict, we need to be listening not for all the ways in which we think the other person is in error, but we need to be listening to understand them. Why did they just say that? Why did they just say this? Why are they upset? What has gone on? What's happening in them that has caused them to react or feel the way they are? We have to listen to understand things from their perspective. That means all the errors that we hear, we need to let fly by us and stay focused on what's going on beneath the surface so that we can hear them, truly understand them, and begin, even within ourselves, to calm down and quiet down because we're starting to understand a whole nother side of what's taken place. That actually moves us into the next 2 steps, which we'll talk about in the next 2 videos. But here's what I want us to focus on and practice today, and that is this. We got to really work at staying quiet. We're staying quiet and focusing on that, and pausing and pausing and pausing again and again and again, so that we can hear the other person well. And then as we move into hearing them well, we focus on listening, not to where they're wrong, not to the errors, but we listen to understand them and why they think and feel the way they did. All right. That's the communication tip this week from Mark Oelze here at Pledge Talk. Hey, if this is helpful to you, pass this along. Share it with friends and family. Thanks. Bye-bye.